I'm not talking to you, buddy. You're okay. I just am gonna do a little talking at you video here to address some comments. Basically, I have all of a sudden had a bunch of views on the channel, and mostly people are asking why I have a service dog and what he does for me. So I just thought I would talk about that a little bit. Hopefully the phone has enough storage where it doesn't cut my video off at the end. But yeah, it's early in the morning still. I mean, not super early, it's like mid-morning, I guess. But I haven't even turned on my fish tanks yet. You can see it's dark there. The one in front of me is dark still. Haven't turned their lights on and fed them yet. We're just having some quiet time after feeding the dogs. And yeah, I don't have any alerts running this morning, so I thought it'd be a good time to talk while my brain is currently here. It's gonna be just a talking at you video, so it's if you want to just watch it as like a podcast, you know, you don't have to watch the video. I'm not gonna be doing anything to show you. And I'll probably be looking out over here a lot because it's my windows there, my fish tank, and it just helps me to think better if I'm just kind of like looking at things that I enjoy, I suppose. So, a lot of people are asking why I have a service dog, so I'll start with that. There's been both kind and unkind comments asking it. You know, some people have been a little bit rude, but there's a lot of you that have been kind and just genuinely curious. And I don't mind that at all. I don't appreciate unkind comments on it, demanding to know things, but, you know, nice questions is fine. That's why I started the channel, is to help educate people. So I certainly don't mind the questions. So it's not going to be an exhaustive list. I don't have notes. I was going to write some notes to keep me on track, but I didn't. So it's going to be a bit of me rambling. But some of the main things, the main thing that is, so I guess I'll go over like what is officially diagnosed first, and then other things that are suspected or have been confirmed with non-conventional methods, so then the conventional side doesn't recognize it as a so-called diagnosis, so take that for what you will. But what is technically diagnosed is that I have brain injury and injury in my neck, to where sometimes essentially like the communication route can get blocked or scrambled. One doctor explained it as my brain is speaking Chinese and my body's speaking German, and they're not really kind of communicating well. So that's kind of a funny explanation, but gets the point across, I suppose. So that, and then because of that, I have a lot of issues with sensory. I am listed as having a sensory disorder, but I have difficulty with changes in the light, and especially dealing with fluorescent lighting in stores. That's why I have these glasses, and I was using them because I was on the screen. That's why I had them on when I started. But these are Theraspecs. That's the brand name. These are their indoor ones. These are migraine glasses and for light sensitivity. So yeah, that and sound, sensitivity to sound, sometimes to movement, a lot of different things. Startle really easy sometimes, most of the time. balance issues, all the different things that go along with that. And then in the, I guess what you'd call unconventional medicine, I like to call it real medicine, but whatever you want to call it. In that realm, I've been told suspected CTE, which you can look that up if you want. Any of the things I'm saying, you can look up. I'm not going to go into the medical terms and stuff because I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to worry about any of that. So you guys can look it up if you wonder. But let me see if I can remember at least the words for that acronym of the CTE. That would be chronic traumatic encephalopathy. And the reason I'm listed as suspected and not just plain CTE is because some of the testing to get actually diagnosed as that is pretty intense, and there's some of the stuff that is pretty invasive that I'm not willing to do, so that's where I'll sit. So there's that, and then Higgins is dreaming, he's moving a bit. So there's that, there's, oh yeah, for the ones that are confirmed, there's adrenal insufficiency, which is basically one step shy of Addison's disease. I do not have Addison's disease yet. Hopefully not ever, but we'll see what happens there. So adrenal insufficiency, and then through testing with lasers, I've been told that I have chronic Lyme. I'm trying to think of what the other stuff. Like I said, it's not going to be an exhaustive list because I didn't make any notes. But basically there's a lot of stuff going on, and there's some stuff that is still largely undiagnosed, that I don't know why different things happen or the reasons from them. There's been several doctors I've gone to that just say they don't know. There's been a couple that have been really helpful and stuck with me and really helped a lot, but most of them I've gone to either have said I'm too complicated of a case, they didn't want to work on me, or that they didn't know and basically were trying to say, here, try these drugs, they may or may not work, and personally I'm not down with that. I'd rather go a more natural route, so that's just what I've chosen. And we're still basically working stuff out, trying to figure out what's going on. My dogs and time both have taught me better management, so that has been helpful, how to manage my symptoms a little better. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at health-wise, just a kind of a overview of that for people wondering, and I'm kind of breezing through it quickly because I don't like to talk about it, so, but I do understand that people wonder, so I thought I would address that lightly. And then as for what my dogs do for me, and I know I interchangeably say dog and dogs, like plural, and that's just because Higgins is my second service dog. My first service dog, Shasta, she's on the floor over here. She's retired now. But I wasn't disabled when I got her originally. I got her originally for doing dog shows and doing some competitive obedience. And also she ended up helping me train dogs. Are you waking up? You gonna move to the floor? I think you're getting too warm. You can go to the floor if you want. You're free. So, she didn't become my service dog until I was struggling enough to need a service dog. Oh, No, Pistol is dreaming. He's over on the dog bed there, the Airedale. He's dreaming, making some noises. But yeah, so there I go, I'm forgetting where I was. But oh yeah, with Shasta, she yes, I said your name, so you're looking at me now, huh? She wasn't my service dog at first. She did a lot of other things with me, and I talk about that a bit in a different video. I'm not going to go into that right now. But she became my service dog. I think she was 6. I think she was around 6. I can't remember for sure. But when she became my service dog and started helping me with different things, and then so she wasn't originally gotten as my service dog because I didn't need one at the time. But then as time goes by, and she is now 9 and she's going blind, and well, she has PRA, so progressive retinal atrophy, I believe it's short for. So she'll slowly go blind over time. So that's why she's retired. She would have been still working probably for until she hit 10, but because the schnauzers live pretty long. She has standard schnauzer, so they live pretty long. But yeah, that's why she's retired a little bit early. And Higgins is my first service dog that I've gotten specifically for service work. That's his sole purpose, basically. So I kind of interchangeably say my dogs or my dog, and that's why. Very long explanation to why. So I'll focus on what Higgins does, because he actually does more, I guess I would say, like, I don't know if it's more or more tailored work for me. Just because we've learned more, and he's been raised as a puppy to do these things, so he's a little more fine-tuned for it, I guess I would say. So the most important, I mean, it's hard to say what's the most important, but basically I guess the most valuable to me stuff that he does, I'll start with first. And again, this is not going to be an exhaustive list. He's still young. He's just over a year, so he's still learning things. Oh, he's going to get down. Good boy. Yeah, you get too warm, huh? It's okay. You can lay down. Don't bump the board the phone's on. Might make it fall. There you go. Good job. So yeah, it's not going to be an exhaustive list of things that he does, but it'll give you guys a little bit of an insight for folks that are wondering. So the main thing I would say that is the most valuable thing to me is his medical alerts. And he does several different ones right now. There is still one I'm trying to figure out and work out with him. It is a back and forth, so it is working with him and figuring stuff out. It's not straight just me training him to stuff. There is me training him to stuff, but it's also a bit of a back and forth conversation, really. So he'll do, I mean, I trained him to the Bringzel, so that's what he uses to alert me of something, and he'll use that pretty much straight across the board. The only one he doesn't use it for is the anger spike alert, but all the other alerts he'll use the Bringzel for to initially tell me about an alert. So I'm trying to think of what order I should say stuff in, but so he'll basically, what an alert can look like is he'll grab his Bringzel in his mouth, which anyone who doesn't know what a Bringzel is, it's a short strap or tab that is attached to his collar, and he reaches down and grabs it with his mouth, and he'll hold it and I've trained him to hold it in his mouth until I actually touch it to take it from him, so that it that helps with me not missing alerts. So there is, I mean, most of the things that people have commented on was on a single short where I missed an alert, and I posted that to show basically real life and to show people that things aren't always the way they seem. And there's been a lot of back and forth, a lot of different comments on that, but I won't get into that right now. But so he the problem in that, with that alert that he did in the store, was he picked up the Bringsil and then he ended up kind of dropping it, and I inadvertently acknowledged it. Like, I didn't acknowledge it, I didn't realize it, but my actions checking in with him, he thought I acknowledged it. So there was an issue there. So then, since then, I had adjusted this training, and he's now trained to where he will hold it in his mouth until I take it from him, no matter what I say or do. So that fixed that problem. He's grabbing it right now. Yes? Okay, bring it here. I'm not going to bend down to you. You have to come. Thank you. Thank you. So there I grab it from him, which he's out of frame. You can't see him, but... And then I'll ask him, what kind? Nope, we got to stretch. Hang on. Yes, okay. That's a straight cognitive. Okay, thank you. That's typical for this time of day. Good boy. Thank you. Yes, good job. Good job. Another thing I've been doing recently is weaning him off of treats every single time, and I'm doing that by weaning him off at home. I do still give him treats because it's, as some people will say, it's basically like a currency, a payment. So of course I'll give it to him, but sometimes he's okay without it. Like right now, he's going to play with a toy instead. He'll self-reward. Good boy. Good boy. Yeah, good job. Thank you. You're good. Good boy. So that's what he just did. Was, I know you couldn't see it, but what he just did is, so he'll, you know, hold, like I was starting to say, hold the Bringsil, and he was just sitting there holding it, waiting for my acknowledgement, and that's when I called him up to me to get up because he was laying down. And so then he came up. Yeah, you're a good boy. Yeah, you're a good boy. So he came up and held it until I touched it, and then he drops it. And then I ask him what kind, and he'll indicate with his nose. So, like with this particular one, he brought his nose up towards my forehead, and that just is a straight, what I call a straight cognitive. So that's just going to be only an issue with my thought process. It's going to be an issue with my thinking. If he touches my forehead or my face with his nose, it means that. If he touches my hand, it means I'm going to have only my mobility go out. If he does both but separately, I know that sounds kind of weird, but like if he does one and then he does the other one and he has like a separation between the two, that is going to be both things going on, kind of like a whole system not happy, basically. And then he has lately one that I don't know what to call the episodes because they are not diagnosed. I don't know what they are. I hesitate to call them anything specific because I don't know. I know exactly what happens with them. Like I'm not gonna hear because it's extensive and personal information, but I can say everything that happens with the episode is a very precise thing, but I don't know what to call it because I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's, I just call it a sick bout or a sick, like, full body migraine is kind of how it feels, but I don't know if it's migraine, so I don't know. Hopefully we'll figure that out soon. I'm gonna try to figure that out. But the alert for that is he'll do, instead of separated head and then hand, he'll do a quick, he'll go to my head with his nose, and then he'll immediately drop from my head to my hand. And it's a very light movement where he barely touches my forehead, barely touches my hand, and then he'll look away. And that is very precisely an alert for one of those type of bouts. And he will alert on those type of bouts up to like, I think his longest one was like 3 days ahead of time. So it's really, really interesting. And it took me a little while to figure this out because of the timing, and then I've tracked it over a couple months now, and it's very consistent. He is very precise and very consistent with his alerts. He does a really good job. I'm trying to remember the last time that he was so-called wrong on an alert. It's hard to come up with that. He's been really, really good. I think maybe back when he was still training, he might have gotten stuff a little confused as far as like re-alerting on the same episode. We've worked on that, but I was able to raise him, you know, basically as a tandem team with my Schnauzer while she was still working. Do you need help? You need help? Yes? Okay. Hang on a second. There is a bone underneath the chair. Good boy. Here, move the chair. There. Okay, get it. Get it. Get it out of there. There you go. No, you can't shoot under the chair. You gotta move it. Thank you. Okay. Dog problems. Bones go under chairs sometimes. So, those are some of the precise alerts that he does. And, I know I was in the middle of saying something, but I don't remember. Anyways, it's where I say there's kind of been a conversation between him and I on how what kind of alert is gonna be done. As I said, I taught him the Bringzil, but then he kind of has learned over time to distinguish between the different alerts, and I've learned his system in that point, I guess I would say. So it's kind of me training him, it's kind of him training me, a little bit of both. But because he's so accurate and precise, it made that learning curve pretty quick. Well, that's what I was saying before. I kind of got a little bit easier of a way of training him compared to what most people get, because I did overlap him with my now retired girl, and so she really did a lot of the training for me, I would say. Like, she helped train him a lot, and also I was able to use her already alerting to train his alerts. So it was, I kind of got to cheat in a sense, I guess, because I didn't have to do the scent collection. I had all the things to do it. I planned on needing to do it, but I didn't end up having to because of her alerts. And then so once she would alert, I would just train with him after she alerted, so I knew that the scent was there. And I do know it's a scent that they do it by, because they will sometimes, if they're not completely sure, they'll smell my breath to double check, and so I do know it's a scent alert. Dogs can alert on many different things, whether it's scent or a visual cue or different things. And this is all just speaking to what he does for me. This is not by any means for every team, so this is just him and I. He's chewing on a bone now, if you can hear it. Actually, both of them are. The two are. Pistol is still sleeping. But, yeah, so that's kind of his alerts, more or less. And then he has responses for different alerts. Sometimes certain alerts, his response will be, and these are trained responses, and also some of them are what he learned to do. Sometimes it'll be that I need pressure, depending on what type of episode is coming. Sometimes pressure, which is said to be DPT, is the short, it's deep pressure therapy. You can look up that term. It explains what it is and what it does. But sometimes he does that as a response. Sometimes he does what I call grounding tasks. So he'll basically, it's hard to explain, but he'll basically like keep pestering me from one way or another, depending on what we're doing, to get me engaged, to keep me engaged, so that I don't kind of just like zone out. So that's really, really helpful. I know it probably doesn't sound like a big deal, but it is, for my daily life. Sometimes if we're at home, he has the command to go get my husband, if I need help. Just different responses, I guess, to different episodes. But so that's his responses, kind of in a nutshell. And then I would say, outside of the alerts and responses, the next main helpful thing that he does for me on a daily basis, like so many times in a day, is the item retrieval. And the reason that that's so important for me is because if I bend over or bend down and it works the same, even if I like stay level but crouch, I haven't found a way to kind of go up and down without having problems from it. No matter how I do it, when I have an elevation change, and it's the same even if I'm riding in a vehicle, which is really hard for me as well. The elevation changes of hills, like anytime there's an elevation change for me, it can make me sicker, basically. And so that, dang it, what was I going to say on that? Oh boy. I believe my brain is going. I don't remember what I was saying with that. Anyways, he'll, the item retrieval, that's what we were talking about. So, since I can't do a lot of bending without getting sick, I have trained him to hand me things. And a lot of his training has been just in living it, and just living life, because I was a dog trainer before I became disabled, and I did training lessons and stuff like that. But because of my illnesses, I guess I'd call it, because of my issues, can be very sporadic and come on whenever they want to, I guess. So doing set forward training lessons doesn't really work very good for me anymore. Those are difficult to do. So I just basically have largely trained him. I have done some lessons style training, but mostly I've just trained him as life happens. Training in real life, I call it, because that's just what works for us. And he learns that way really well. I will say he's my first poodle I've ever worked with, which is interesting. They're a common breed, and I had trained a lot of different breeds, and I had never trained a poodle, so that's really interesting. But he's the first one I've worked with, and they definitely learn differently than your typical dogs that work well off of repetition, like I would say like Labradors, short hairs, breeds like that work really good off repetition. He does not work good off repetition. He works more like the Airedale does, actually. They work similar, where he does best by, if you show him what you want him to do, have him complete it once or maybe twice at most, and then you leave it alone. And you come back to it later, and he'll usually do it perfect. I mean, it's not a straight across the board, but it's generally how it goes. Or he'll do it good, and then we improve upon it the next time, and then same system to improve on it. So he learns very differently, so that learning during life is just a really good way to work with him, because it's just as we go on, you know, as things arise. So that's how I've taught most of his work, actually, but most of his item retrieval is just when I need something that I can't reach, and I work with him to teach him how to pick it up, like different things. He has to kind of learn different ways to pick it up. Like a recent example is I was asking to pick up a big gallon jug of vinegar for me, and he was trying to pick it up by the lid kind of at first, and I was like, well, that's not going to really work very good because sometimes the lids could break or something. So I had to direct him with, I use my feet for a lot of things, so I pointed with my foot on where I wanted him to grab, and I showed him how to grab the handle by touching it and tapping it with my foot. And so then he grabbed there, and I praise him, and he picks it up by the handle and hands it to me. So just working with him like that on different items, teaching him where to grab them, how to grab them, that just all happens as I need it in real life. And that's been super helpful. I did put out a video quite a while ago of him helping me with laundry. He does that all the time. That's one of the normal things that he helps me with. Every day there's tons of things that he hands me. So that's super helpful for me, because that helps me stay able to do things more, so that I'm not my system's not being kind of tripped out by that elevation change constantly to where I'm just sick all the time. I mean, I am to different levels, but it helps the flares, I guess, to not be so much. So that is one of his super helpful things. I don't really want to talk a lot right now about nightmare interruptions. I'll just leave it mostly at that. He sleeps in bed with us in order to do his work. He has an elevated bed at the bottom of our bed, and he sometimes chooses to sleep there if I'm doing well. I mean, he knows by my smell. But yeah, he'll wake me before I get to the panic point where the panic will wake myself. And then it's a whole big ordeal to come down from that. And he has largely been taught by my schnauzer. What are you after? Oh, no, that's fluff from a toy. You don't need that. So she largely taught him that, and he's learned to improve upon it. And he does really good work with that. And if I'm having issues at night, he'll do all the normal things that he would do with them during the day, initiating pressure if needed, different stuff like that. And that has really helped hugely the night work, because before it was really, I mean, obviously it just disrupts my sleep, but it was really disrupting my husband's sleep, and he has to go to work early in the morning. He gets up about 4 to 5 days a week. He'll get up at 2 to 4 o'clock in the morning to go to work. So it's really important, for him to get his sleep as well. And Higgins' work at night has really improved that, so that it's a really, really big deal. But it's something I'm not super comfortable with sharing details about, so that's why I'm just not going to talk about it much. So he does that. He does another thing I'm not going to go super in depth about, just for my comfort, is his behavior interruptions. Mostly that's going to be like, I don't know if the anger alerts go underneath that category or not. Those probably go underneath alerts, but that's been super helpful too. This is kind of a side point, but he'll that's the only thing that he jumps on me for. If you ever end up seeing him jump up in any videos on me, that is the only thing he jumps up for, is an anger alert, and he'll jump up and put his paws really gently on me, and typically he'll lick my face either under my chin or my forehead to let me know that that's coming. And that's been really, really helpful for me to be able to manage the anger rounds better, because they just come up and no rhyme or reason, it can be nothing happening, it can be stuff happening, doesn't matter. They just kind of happen. So that is super helpful that he lets me know about it, because then I can be aware of it, and if I'm aware of it, I can fight it better. So that's a really good thing that he does. And that's one that he figured out on his own. That is not one that I taught him. He did figure that out on his own, and it's been super, super helpful. And I just captured it, basically. Once I realized that he was doing it, then I started rewarding it, and then that's how that becomes solid. So, trying to get back to what I was talking about. What was I talking about before that? Interruptions. So, there'll be times when I will, I don't know, I call it freezing. Like, I'll freeze. Sometimes it's a reaction to a noise or a light being turned on when I didn't know it was. Or sometimes just my brain just kind of leaves for a little bit, and I'll just kind of like lock up and just kind of be like that. And it's just nothing, like everything pauses in me. There's no recognition, there's no thought, there's no, like, I'm not aware. And I've trained him, I did train him that response, or that interruption, or however you want to call it, because we found out from my husband helping me with those ones where often all I need is something or someone to kind of touch me, and it kind of breaks that, like, oh, it brings me back aware of, like, oh yeah, I'm here. And so I trained him that as a visual marker. So I trained him by like simulating it. So like I would kind of freeze up and act like I was froze up, and then give him his touch command, and he would come touch, and then I would praise him. So that's how I taught him that, and now if I freeze up, he'll come over and essentially like break me out of it. And that one is super helpful that he does all the time. Trying to think of all the other stuff that he does, but there's just so many things day to day. He'll, a lot of different things. He'll get me, if I'm being on my feet too long, he'll like lead me, get a hold of me, get my attention, and then I'll ask him to show me, and he'll lead me over to the couch or chair, and I'll sit down, and he'll come sit with me or something, just telling me, hey, you need to take a break. Or the opposite, if I'm sitting too long, he'll start, asking me to get up, and same thing in reverse. And then if I get up and start doing things, then he'll just be like, okay, you're good then, and he'll just kind of settle down and keep an eye on me. And that is something he learned from Shasta. Shasta is very good at that. Both of them will tell me different stuff throughout the day. Another thing that I deal with is really bad memory. I forget what I'm doing all the time. So they'll tell me about, if I've left something on the stove and it's been a span of time where I've not checked on it or something, they've learned to recognize that, and they'll come and kind of like pester me or stare at me, and then I'll ask them to show me what they're wanting, and they'll take me over to the stove, or they'll remind me that I didn't take my medicine, my supplements, and they'll take me over to the counter for that. So there's a lot of little like intuitive things that they do. And I just, when I find something like that they do, I'll capture it by rewarding them for it. Once I realize that they're doing it on something that I want to encourage, then I'll reward them for it. So that is super helpful. I think I have several different videos on the actual components of how I trained different things. Most of it, again, was capturing behaviors. Like I say, we just kind of, during life, will stumble on something that works, and I'll be like, ooh, that was helpful, and then I'll reward for it, and I'll encourage them to do it again. And that's kind of how I teach a lot of things. So yeah, it's a very, very intuitive back and forth. Again, I did get Higgins as a puppy, and I have owner trained both of them. myself, and I mean, I have a step up in that just because I did train dogs as my trade, as my profession, before I became too disabled to do so. If I ever can get back to where I can work again, I will probably work with service dogs, because before, when I didn't know anything about them and I was just a normal dog trainer working mostly with obedience and bird dogs, I got quite a few requests for working with and training or helping owners to train their service dogs, and I knew nothing about it. And so I was like, no, I'm sorry, I don't know anything about that. Well, having lived it now, I've learned so much from my dogs and from other people, watching other people's channels or talking with some other handlers, different groups. Been very helpful to learn different things, and I'm always trying to learn more, always considering other perspectives, always open to learning from my dogs. So what I have learned that has been really helpful for me, I hope to, with this channel largely too, I hope to help people with that. And then if I'm ever able to do it again in person, I hope to help people with that. I don't know if I'll do that or not, because right now my focus is to just hopefully get well enough in order to just do my daily life and be able to do the things I want to do as a wife, as a taking care of the house and our animals and stuff. And I really want to be able to do that job better than I can right now, because of my health right now. So that's my first goal. So I will definitely be focused on that largely before actually getting back to working in a job format of training dogs. So that's definitely my first focus. But I thought in the meantime I could do stuff like this channel to hopefully help people, just as I do things in life. Maybe that showing that can help some other people. And it also helps me too to watch back videos that are taken of me doing things, because I'll notice, oh, I messed up this, or oh, Higgins did that and that was really good and I missed rewarding it. Or you can learn different things just by watching back videos taken of you when you don't really realize they're even being taken, which is really good, very helpful for me. And then I like being able to point those things out and put them up here for you guys. Which brings me to another point that I wanted to say real quick is I already try to limit my screen time and stuff, because that really hurts my head a lot. So I probably will never learn how to edit. I don't know how to edit videos. I will probably never do that, so it's going to be what it's going to be. And the different thing, that's why there's a lot of shorts, because stuff doesn't quite film like I would expect it or whatever, like the camera gets turned off or whatever. Or like has happened several times, is I'll be filming something long like this and the phone will run out of storage and it'll just shut off, and so the video just ends kind of randomly. And that's just how it's going to be, because I'm not going to waste time and the limited brain ability that I have on something like editing. I'm just not going to do it. So that will probably never happen. I don't know for sure, but it's not something that I'm going to be focusing on doing. But yeah, this channel is going to remain. I have basically 3 goals for this channel, and they're the same as when I started it. One is for myself. It's just for documenting all the stuff with Higgins from the beginning. That's one of the reasons for the channel. And then the main reason is for educational purposes, to try to help people. And And then the third reason is I'll post funny videos of my goats being silly or whatever, just to make people laugh. You know, like, it's important to have fun in life and find the happiness in your life, you know, in the regular moments, in the regular things of your life, to find that contentment. And so I try to post some of that to, you know, make people think about that side of life, and to just get people to look around themselves and find out, you know, what in their life can they enjoy and laugh at and just be in the moment. So that's kind of a update on and information on me, on Higgins, what he does for me, and about this channel. So hopefully that answers your guys' questions. You feel free to put more questions down below. I'm not going to be super in-depth about all of my medical stuff because some of it is private. There's a lot of different types of episodes and stuff I get that I'm not going to talk about right now. Stuff of like I get lost sometimes. That's a very personal thing. I'm not going to talk about that. But yeah, there's just suffice to say, there's a lot of things that's behind the scenes that you guys don't see and probably won't see because it is my personal life. So just be aware you're only seeing part of it, you know, part of the things. And I encourage you guys to be kind in comments. There's been quite a few people that are not being kind. There's been people that are being very kind too, but there's been quite a few people lately that are starting